understand Donald Trump and Whitmer, they have some disagreements. But with that being said, this terror plot against Whitmer and her family is a very serious one. There have been videos, photographs, and now text messages between the people charged by the Department of Justice with conspiring to kidnap the governor and her family. It reveals details of their alleged domestic terror plan, their access to weapons, and even training exercises like Al-Qaeda. One of the pieces of the evidence is a video that was played out in court showing the men doing training with weapons as they jump off a vehicle and start firing their large rifles. One of the men said in a text message, quote, "Have one person go to her house, knock on the door, and when she answers, just cap her." Make no mistake about it. These domestic terrorists were out for blood. They were out to kill the governor and her family. We are now only a week or two out from the governor and the general public getting this information. So what does the president of the United States decide to do while holding a rally on Saturday in Michigan? He goes after the governor. Couldn't you just leave it alone? Couldn't you just tone down the rhetoric, at least with Governor Whitmer, after she's been going through with her family the last couple weeks? That's right. The president of the United States went after Whitmer, and then listen to what the crowd chanted at this rally. Have a listen to this.
Lock them all up. And then I guess they said she was threatened, right? She was threatened. And she blamed me.
First of all, when he says, I guess she was threatened.
Knock, knock, FBI.
Yeah, exactly. First of all, it wasn't a guess. No, Mr. President, you're not guessing that she was threatened. The Federal Bureau of Investigation has men locked up in jail right now who were trying to execute a plan to kill the governor and members of her family. For you to lackadaisically say in front of thousands of your idiot supporters that are screaming, lock her up, like they did with Hillary Clinton, for you to get up there on a stage and not say anything about domestic terrorism, all you had to do was 10 seconds. Listen, we disagree. I disagree. We disagree with the governor. But there's no place in our society for domestic terrorism, and we wish the governor well, her and her family. That's all he had to say. Then move on to another subject and do your spiel.
Lock them all up.
Yeah, lock them all up. Is there anybody that's okay with that? The governor and her family, their lives were just threatened by domestic terrorists who are now in jail who luckily...
Wait, he said lock them all up before the threatened part, right?
What do you mean?
He said lock them up before he mentioned that she was threatened.
I don't know what you're saying. The point I'm trying to make is that he's negatively talking about the governor. He's in Michigan.
No, what he said was, and I think you're right. He should have said something like you said, but he said, I guess she was threatened.
No, it's not a guess. She was,
and then she blamed me, which she did do, and she had no proof for that at all, none.
Okay,
she called it white supremacist, and she said that Trump's dog whistles and virtue signaling and his rhetoric led to her being to this plot to kidnap her and her family, and that's just not true.
So,
but he was saying
I disagree with what you just said.
He wasn't saying lock her up about the governor of Michigan. What was he saying lock her up about?
So,
I'm guessing, and I didn't hear this, but I'm guessing he was talking about
just the mandates, just disagreements on policy. They were talking about Whitmer. That's exactly what he was doing.
What do you mean? What do you mean lock them all up?
Yes, they were. He was talking about Governor Whitmer. JD, I am 100%. I watched it.
He thinks
Whitmer.
That the governor should be locked up in jail?
Well, that's what all of his idiot supporters were chanting out. Lock her up. Lock her up. Not lock them up. Lock her up. He was talking about Whitmer and his moron supporters.
And he said lock them all up.
Okay, first he says, that's right, lock her up. And then he goes, lock them all up. So that's exactly what, that's what he thinks. That's what he thinks. So, again, you can disagree with someone's policies. You can dislike somebody. I don't like the way the president handles it. But you cannot convince me that when he tweets out, liberate Michigan, and when he calls these people great people that they're suited up in their G.I. Joe outfits, some of whom had a rope around a Barbie doll, threatening, an image of hanging Governor Whitmer. And now we have these dopes, these domestic terrorists. Leave the governor alone. Her life and her family were just threatened. If you disagree with her policies, fine. All you have to do is say that. If you have to bring up her name, if you have to, which, by the way, I don't think he had to in Michigan, but if you have to, I disagree with the governor's policies. We have a lot of disagreements. That's why you should vote for me instead of Joe Biden. However, with that being said, we don't condone domestic terrorism, and we wish the governor well, her and her family, and it shouldn't be tolerated. That's all the man had to say. And then move on with your speech. The lock her up stuff, lock her up. No, you know the people that are locked up right now? The bastards who put up a plan to try to kill the governor and kidnap her and her family. Those are the people. But no, his supporters don't want to talk about that. They want to yell out, lock her up, lock her up. It's just disgusting, man. That's all I'm trying to. It's just absolutely disgusting. And
well, one of the people that was involved in that plot, there was a video of him, and then behind him there's the anarchist sign. It's the A with the circle around it, but he's calling out Donald Trump. He's calling him a tyrant. He's calling Gretchen Whitmer a tyrant. These were anarchists. These were definitely domestic terrorists. They need to spend the rest of their days in Guantanamo Bay. But the issue is she should not have said that Donald Trump is responsible for that plot, because that's just not the truth.
What she was saying is that the rhetoric that Donald Trump puts out there certainly can lead to something like this happening. And here's what I'm trying to talk about. This is exactly what we're talking about.
But so can also
leave the governor alone right now.
Having very, very aggressive lockdowns in your state, people can get angry about that.
But that's a policy. That's a difference of opinion and policy. That's absurd. The woman's life was just threatened.
A federal judge did say that a lot of her mandates and her directives with locking down the state of Michigan were unconstitutional. Right now, Donald Trump is winning the state of Michigan for a reason.
JD, again, that is a policy disagreement that we can talk about, which has absolutely nothing to do with the president of the United States deciding to get there up on a stage, attacking a governor who was her life was just in danger, her and her family. It's inappropriate and it's wrong.
What it is being opportunistic with power. It's being drunk with power and taking advantage of the amount of power you have in a time like this during
You're talking about Trump,
pandemic.
of course,
I'm
right?
talking about Gretchen Whitmer.
Okay, so you don't have a problem with what Trump did.
I'm talking about with what she did with the very, very overly aggressive, comprehensive lockdowns in the state of Michigan, Brian.
Okay, let me be very clear.
That's what I'm talking about.
Let me be very clear.
And so would I be surprised if an anarchist would want to put together a plot to try to stop a governor from doing that, from abusing their power? No, I would not be. But I don't think that has anything to do with Donald Trump. That's all I'm saying, Brian.
Okay, first of all, so to even suggest when you're a Donald Trump supporter that Trump has never abused his seat of power as the president is absurd. I would never condone or say, well, I'm not surprised somebody wanted to try to kill the president of the United States. It's just insane to me. Policy is one thing. This is something completely different. The president of the United States should not have gone after the governor. If you want to go after her policies, fine. But the fact of the matter is, to allow a crowd, lock her up, just like the crowd several years ago in talking about Ilhan Omar, send her back. And the president didn't say stop. He laughed, and he condoned that sort of behavior. He's also condoning this behavior, and it's inappropriate.